Well, hello everybody, yet again. Welcome back to Junk Shop Library's Improv Bible Study, home of the alarmingly noisy chair and the incredibly inconsistent lighting. We'll figure this mess out one of these days, y'all. We turn today to the 14th chapter of the book of Exodus. I can get anything settled today, including my glasses. Throw me those thumbs ups. Exodus 14. Let's jump right in. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they turn and encamp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal-zephon. Before it ye shall encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, They are entangled in the land, the wilderness hath shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people, and they said, Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? And he made ready his chariot, and took his people with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots, and all the chariots of Egypt, and captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel, and the children of Israel went out with a high hand. But the Egyptians pursued after them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen, and his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea, beside Pi-hahiroth, before Baal-zephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. And they said unto Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians, than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, Fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. But thou lift up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them, and the pillar of the cloud went from before their face, and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all night. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued, and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, that they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their horses, and upon their horsemen. And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength when the morning appeared, and the Egyptians fled against it, and the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned, and covered the chariots, and the horsemen, and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared the Lord, and believed the Lord, and his servant Moses. And that's Exodus 14. Little Bible school humor from this one. The joke is, a man comes to the pastor, the preacher, the minister, the rabbi, the choose your religious professional of his congregation. And he says, "Pastor, minister, rabbi," says, "I've been reading the book of Exodus, and this enormous, miraculous thing that happened where the Lord used a wind to divide the whole Red Sea, enough that all the children of Israel, 600,000 men, besides women and children and oxen and assen and thussin and so on, were able to walk right through." And pastor, minister, rabbi says, yeah, that was a miracle, all right, but here's the thing. Later scholarship points to a translation error in the King James. And what it says, what it's actually supposed to be referring to is not the Red Sea, but the Reed Sea, which is kind of this piddly little body of water that's like 6 inches deep or so, and probably what God did was just suck out a low tide, and they got to walk through in mud instead of slogging through 6 inches of water. The guy says, "Oh, well, that's a little less impressive, I guess, but all right, well, thanks for the knowledge, pastor, minister, rabbi," and he goes on his way. Well, the next day he comes charging into pastor, minister, rabbi's office and says, "Pastor, minister, rabbi, it's a miracle, it's a miracle. God drowned the entire Egyptian army in only 6 inches of water." Let it never be said that the religious have not a sense of humor. Anyway, so, more mass murder, more hardening of hearts. That's pretty much it. Of course, we've seen this in Bible and Bible-adjacent movies a lot. Those of us who were raised with them. If you were not, don't worry. It's not a requirement of membership in the library that you've been raised with cinematic depictions of prehistoric mass murder. But I think my favorite depiction of this was in the animated Prince of Egypt movie, which essentially copies and pastes from the Cecil B. DeMille version in this sequence, except that you have this huge thunderstorm going on. And there's a moment where the walls of water are going up stories and stories high, and the children of Israel are passing through, and there's this massive blob off on the left side of the frame, and it illuminates the silhouette of a blue whale swimming slowly back and forth within the water. It was a great visual. Completely preposterous, of course. Even the Red Sea is too shallow for blue whales, and they don't live in that part of the world anyway. I think that's all I've got. I'm seeing weird stuff happening with the camera. I hope that doesn't make it into the... In the event that it does, I beg your indulgence, and do come back and see us. Check out some earlier videos over here in the playlist, and if you're not already subscribed, you know what to do. Y'all take care. Be safe. And we'll see you again soon.